Well, hello folks, and welcome back. This is the beginning of part 2, well actually part 3 of the Stanwell 315 restoration. And last time we talked about the stummel, and we've got that all cleaned up and ready for polishing. So this episode we're going to focus on the stem and hopefully get the stem completed, put everything together, and finish up. So we're going to start. So I haven't done anything to the stem yet, and normally I want to start by getting the inside clean because I know that's going to be a really dirty process. But there's so much buildup around the button here that I want to deal with that first, just to sort of make sure if there's any loose stuff I'm getting it off and it's not sort of transferring around. Mostly transferring to my hands because it's a bit disgusting. Realizing that this is from somebody's mouth. And I just put a couple drops of Everclear on that, and I'm just kind of being a little bit aggressive with wiping it off, just to get anything that's really loose off. And now what I'm going to do is, you can see, hopefully you can see, that there is some buildup in there, and that's probably some calcification. You can also see there's a few dents that probably chewed in there. I'm not going to worry about lifting those. I'm probably going to wind up sanding those out. And the same on the bottom. So let's begin by scraping some of that calcification off. Let me see if I can bring you in a bit closer here and still get you focused. It's not gonna... It should focus there. Huh, that's weird. And let's zoom out a little bit and see if I can get... There we go. Okay. So the easy thing to do to begin with is to just take something like a single-edged razor blade, anything that'll let you scrape. And I'm just going to very lightly scrape along here to remove that top layer and get off as much of that calcification as I can. Now, I am obviously taking off some ebonite with this, but that's okay. We are going to file and sand this, and then we'll just come in here at a 90-degree angle and clean up that area right behind the button. And I'll do the same on the bottom. I'm trying to keep the blade at about 90 degrees to the stem, and then 90 degrees to that back of the button. I wrote it up at a bit of an angle there. Oh, that's interesting. Still in shot, yeah. See, this particular button is, as you can tell, sort of arced around here to match this arc in the mouthpiece. So just finding that one end seems to be arced a bit more than the other. And we can even that out when we start filing it. Right now I'm not trying to get a beautiful finish on this. I'm just trying to get it cleaned up, really. And I think that's going to be fine. So we'll get rid of this, and we'll do one more wipe down with the Everclear before moving on to the cleaning up the inside. Now, as I'm doing this, I'll note this pipe is a bit of a challenge because of the double bore, the twin bore as it's called. And I showed that to you during the overview, and you can see here there are these two holes in the end, which is going to be a bit of a challenge because they look a lot smaller than a pipe cleaner. So let's just begin with one of the standard, I'm going to go with soft. I just think I'll have a better chance of getting a soft pipe cleaner through here than the bristles. So just as a first pass, I'm going to go with the soft pipe cleaner. And this is a tapered one. I'm using the narrow end. That is tight. That is very, very tight. Let's see what it looks like when it pulls out. Oh, jeez. It's dirty. I don't know how much of that resistance is due to the airway being dirty versus the airway being narrow. Alright, so we've got other options. I have these standard non-tapered pipe cleaners. Now these should not be any thinner than those tapered ones were initially, so it may still be just as difficult to get these through. My hope is that this is just because, oh jeez, I'm sorry if I'm moving that out of shot, but that really got wedged in there. Yeah, it's going in a bit easier the second time. Still not getting all the way through. The other option we have is the Falcon pipe cleaners, and these are, as you can see, extra thin. And we'll see if one of these will make its way through there. That works quite well. Oh, not too dirty. Let's turn it around and try the other air hole. Alright, so that's going to be what we're going to need to do is use the Falcon cleaners on this, which is unfortunate because I don't have as many of those. Let's try a couple. Let me zoom out a bit here because I'm probably not showing you everything. I apologize if I've been out of shot. Just putting some alcohol on one of these Falcon cleaners. Just kind of run that all the way through. And we'll go through the other hole as well. Right now I'm not trying to get it terribly clean, just trying to sort of soak that tar with some alcohol. And turn it around. And what I don't know is, as I go on with this and get the airway opened up a bit, will I be able to use a standard size pipe cleaner? I'm hopeful for that because, like I said, I don't have as many of these Falcon cleaners. Of course, I can always get more. No, that's really tight. And I think the problem is it's going into about where the bend is, and it's just seizing up when we get past that bend. Which is odd. I'm going to come in from this side just to kind of size this up, and yeah, there's definitely a restriction there. Yeah. Well, looks like we'll be using the Falcon Extra Thin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with some bristled pipe cleaners to get the bottom part of the airway cleaned out. By the bottom part I mean this part, the part near the tenon. Get in there as much as I can with the bristled pipe cleaners, and then use the Falcon pipe cleaners to clean out the twin bores. And we'll see how that goes, and I will bring you back once we've got the inside. Gone ahead and scrubbed the inside of this pretty well with pipe cleaners, using a bristled pipe cleaner from this end, and then also following that up with the non-bristled ones until the non-bristled ones came out clean. And we've done the best we can using these Falcon pipe cleaners from this end. Again, using ethanol on them at first, or Everclear first, and as you can see now, they pass through quite easily, and they come out the other end perfectly white and clean. So we've got the inside as clean as we're going to be able to get it. Alright, so now we can turn our attention to the outside. One other thing I did off camera was I just took some alcohol on a paper towel and cleaned up the tenon here, which had a little bit of tar buildup on it, but that's fairly clean now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in here with this nail file, and I'm going to clean up this area behind the button because that's where most of the oxidation was. I'll try to square up that behind the button region, And I'm also going to use it to sort of smooth out the button itself. You know, there's some dents in there that I think they're too big to lift, and I don't really like a large button anyway, so I don't mind taking this down a bit just to kind of blend this in so that it's relatively flat. So I will do that just by, you know, bringing this in here and just carefully kind of sanding this down, being careful not to cut into this portion of the stem because I don't want to have to blend it if I can avoid it. And then I'll do the same on this side, and then turn it sideways and sort of clean up that area right behind the button all the way around. So I will do that, and then I will just begin the standard sanding and polishing using the micro mesh pads that you've seen me use several times now. I will start off with the 1500 and work all the way through to the 12,000, and I will do that for the entire stem. And bring you back when that is done and we've got some mineral oil on it. So I'll see you soon. Okay folks, I'm back. I brought this up to only 6,000 grit, which is still pretty fine. My reasoning for doing that was that I'm going to put this on the buffer, and I know the first grit that I use, which is the Jeweler's Rouge, Red Rouge, is going to put scratches in it that are bigger than 6,000. So essentially I'm going to be going backwards from this point. So there's no point in going to a higher gloss right now. The other thing I did that you might be able to notice is that I stopped my work right about here. So there's still a little bit of oxidation here. Again, this is going to be buffed on the buffing wheel, and that should take that off with no problem at all. Again, it just was a matter of doing the least amount of work necessary, since I'm just going to be taking that polish off on the buffing wheel. If I was doing this entirely by hand, I would have, of course, done all the way up to the end here, and I would have done that either on the pipe or on some block to protect me from, to prevent me from rounding over the edge here. But I did not sand that far. I only sanded to about this point. But you know, I'm just putting on a coat of mineral oil now, and by and large it looks pretty good. We've gotten rid of all the scratches that we put in filing. The one thing I wasn't too happy about was the button. There is quite a bit of damage behind the button on the bottom. The only way to fix that at this point is going to be to fill it. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm going to keep this stem. I don't know if I'm going to like the double bore. I think I would keep the stem. I'm not going to modify the stem because it is, you know, part of the original pipe. I might make a new stem for it, in which case I would just keep this one on the side in case I ever decided to sell the pipe or something like that. So the point is I don't want to put an awful lot of work into this stem until I'm sure that this is the stem that I'm going to keep on the pipe. So that's where we are right now. The inside is clean. It passed the pipe cleaner. I think I showed you it passing pipe cleaners, and that all went quite well. Although unfortunately I am going to be restricted to those Falcon cleaners for, you know, routine cleaning of this pipe, so that's a bit of a pain, but I buy them anyway because I do have a Falcon that pretty much requires them in order to clean out the stem of the shank of the Falcon. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of annoying that I can't just use the same pipe cleaners that I use on everything else. So I've just put the stem on this little stand that I have. I'm going to let the oil soak in overnight. That seems to really help protect and prevent the oxidation from quickly coming back out after the stem is buffed. So basically what we're looking at now is just once this is soaked in for an overnight period, about a 24-hour period at this rate, I'll wipe it down with just a paper towel, put these two back together, and get them buffed up. So when we come back, you should be seeing the finished pipe. So I'm going to leave this overnight, but for you it will just be a few seconds, and I will see you real soon. Well friends, as promised, we now have a completed and finished pipe. What I've done since the last segment is buffed off the mineral oil, which I did allow to soak in overnight. buffed that off just with a paper towel, and then reassembled the pipe and did a triple retort on the pipe to deghost it. And if you don't know what the retort is, I've done a full video on that, and I will link to it in the description and up above, so you can take a look at that if you're curious. After that, I had to allow it to cool down for a while and dry out, which only took about an hour. And then I went ahead and took it over to the buffing wheel. So this has been buffed with the Jeweler's Rouge, the white diamond, and then after that a coat of carnauba wax was applied. And as you can see, it's actually turned out nicely. So the stem looks very good. Button is a little bit thinner than when I started, but it's still quite serviceable and the kind of button that I like. The only real flaw in this is that little bit of darkening around the rim, but I'm okay with that. The grain really does look quite beautiful now that it's all polished up, and I'm very, very pleased with it. There's this one area that's kind of devoid of interest, and that's okay. It's kind of interesting in its lack of interest. But there's just such spectacular grain on this. I mean, that is just amazing. And then some of the bird's eye, especially on the bottom. I don't know if you can pick that up, but yeah, right in there. The stampings were very nicely maintained. I mean, they were in good shape to begin with. But you know, no issues at all with those because I didn't have to sand anything. So overall, I'm very happy with this Savinelli 315KS. I'm excited about trying out the twin bore system, although I've got a feeling that I will be making a new stem for this at some point, because I'm guessing the twin bore is just not going to be the most amazing thing I've ever tried. So unless it's really a remarkable difference, I'm probably going to want to have a regular stem. But anyway, it was a lot of fun restoring this pipe. Not a terribly challenging project, but hopefully by watching this, you've seen that you can get an estate pipe that's not a terribly challenging project and turn it around pretty quickly into a pipe that you could enjoy. And hopefully you'll be willing to try that at some point. So keep an eye out for these pipes. You can often get very good deals at antique shops or on eBay. So with that, I will say thank you all. I would appreciate likes and comments if you feel so inclined. Thank you to all my subscribers, and if you're not a subscriber and you'd like to stay up on videos like this, please do subscribe so you can find out when the next series is starting. So thank you all once again. I hope you all take care, and I will look forward to talking to you all again very soon. Goodbye now.